Teen Sports listeners, I'm your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday.
This whole hour of Santa Barbara teen athletes. Woo! And we're talking all athletes. Good morning, everybody. Wow, look at these beautiful ladies in the house. Stephanie Forrester is here. Hey, Steph.
Hey, how are you?
How's Ohio?
Oh, actually, it's very, very hot today.
Nice.
But it's nice. All the flowers are popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
So
it's so funny. I don't know what it is about me, but we have this connection. So I call Stephanie a lot, but 3 particular times I've called her, I hear this, woo! I go, what is that noise? She goes, it's the town alarm. I have to evacuate. How many times did that happen? Am I right? Like, what
always happens. I'm like, do I go down to the basement? Where?
Exactly. She answered the phone. I go, what do you do? She's up in a basement. I go, oh my God, it's so funny. It was awesome. So she brings her sister in the house today. Adele Luttrell's here. Hey, Adele.
Hi, good morning. Nice to be here.
Nice to see you, of course. Rachel Seidel, how you doing?
I'm great, thank you.
Youthwell.org. Everybody start punching that into your phone. It's an amazing organization, all supporting our kids. And then right before we started this show, Adele Luttrell is going to be gracious enough, and she's going to be donating some books to Youthwell. So you might as well tell Adele, what is that book? Tell the 2 books that you've written.
Okay, well, one of the books is called Why Me, and it helps children to understand diagnoses with a serious illness, life-threatening illness, but it can also apply to any kind of traumatic event or suffering that, happens to a child. It explains in child-friendly terms. And then I've written a book called What's Wrong with Our Mom, and it explains bipolar disorder to children. So I'm donating those books, just want to get them out there.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Adele. This is such a kind thing. Dominique Hackett, Santa Barbara Wellness. How you doing, Dee?
Good.
Nice. You have some books you're going to be sharing?
Yep. We are publishing a cowgirl named Geeta. You can get it on Amazon. And that's just a fun story where a young girl stands up for someone who's being bullied, and then people come together, and it just it strengthens friendship and the importance of coming together for each other. And then the second book, Zephyr and Finn, is about a magic drink and how sometimes the magic potion for one person doesn't work well for another person, and it can make them not a happy person. So he learns mindfulness mindfulness habits from an owl named Echo. They're 2 lovely, lovely books.
I got a lot of that inspiration from you, Adele. I just want to know, where are you getting these ideas from? Really, a lot of this comes from Teen Sports Radio. Seriously. Wow. So listen, we have only one recap. Romy Davies Sr., Santa Barbara High. Everybody else is finished up with their recaps. And again, just such a joy to be able to platform these kids, help them get to the next level. And the feedback that I'm getting is we have one going into theater, and they're definitely also looking at broadcasting as well. So anyways, let's do this. Without further ado, we got a big show today, folks. Let's get to Santa Barbara High School, Romy Davies.
Thank you, Erica, and hello, everyone. This is Romy Davies, Santa Barbara High School senior, reporting back from Santa Barbara, California, with this week's SB Sports Recap, which goes out to my friend Pip. I am very, very sad to report that this recap will be my last, as I'm graduating high school this Thursday, which feels so surreal and bittersweet. Tomorrow is our last day of actual school, and then the days leading up to graduation are just graduation practice and senior checkout and all that kind of stuff. So it feels very, very sad, but also exciting. I'll be attending UCLA in the fall and studying English, which is also very exciting, and I can't wait to tune in every week and hear all the updates that I used to give. But anyway, at the beginning of last week, Davis Flanagan and Andrea Sibdal advanced to the final in their respective events of the CIF State Track and Field Championships. And then, incredibly, Andreas ran the race of his life and won a stirring 1,600 meters at the championships on Saturday at Buchanan High's Veterans Memorial Stadium in Clovis. He is the first Santa Barbara High athlete to win a state meet since Sam Cunningham in 1969. So incredible job to him. Coach Olivia Perdices said, "We felt for a while like it was possible, but for him to come through and get it done, no words." Davis Flanagan placed 11th in the long jump, so good job to him as well. Unfortunately, that's it for this week's SB Dons recap. It's a short one, but with the year coming to an end and sports being done with their respective seasons, it looks like that's all we've got. I'm so thankful to have gotten to speak on the show, and thank you to everyone who's listening for tuning in. That is it for this week's SB Dons recap.
Thank you, Romy. All right, next up from Chiropractic School, Richard Ellsworth, right after these messages.
Fentanyl death is not a high. Don't let fentanyl lie. A killer in disguise that will make you die. Fly away peacefully from the mountains to the sky. Justin Bruce Forrester, 2/22/22, age 22. He left us all without saying goodbye.
You're simply the best. Better than all the rest. Better than anyone.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Richard Ellsworth coming to you live from Life West Chiropractic College. And today I brought on a guest, Bryant Allen, who is also a student at Life West and a future network chiropractor. And we have some cool tips to share with you today about taking care of your skin. We're starting to get into those summer months, and the sun is beating down on us. And sometimes we need to come up with some solutions that we can use other than sunscreen. Because believe it or not, there are graphs charts that indicate that skin cancer actually increased with the advent of sunscreen being produced. Which suggests that perhaps sunscreen is actually leading to more skin cancer than actual burns from the sun. So there are some other things you can do topically, as well as some things you can take internally. So Brian, would you be willing to talk about some of the things that you like to use for protection from the sun?
Of course. Well, thank you for having me here, Richard. It's a pleasure to be at Life West. We love it. And, if any of the listeners out there can relate to me, I'm half Swedish. So boy, do I burn, man. I can build that tan, but the sunburn's pretty unreal. So I got 4 pretty incredible stuff. Number 1 is a really cool one called astaxanthin. So if you know sockeye salmon, they're absolutely stunning, right? That beautiful red color. Well, they are that red color because they eat a really cool microalgae that's called astaxanthin. It gives them that cool pigment. Japanese research shows that when you take this little affordable soft gel, it actually can protect your skin for up to 90 minutes.
Wow.
Right?
So you take it before you go in the sun?
It'll stay in your system in the day, but you definitely want to take it early in the morning.
Very nice.
Right?
You ever heard? I mean, kids do not know this. Parents don't know this. Grandparents don't know. This is awesome. What else?
Powerful antioxidant, right? And then everyone loves to eat tomatoes, right? But did you know that the actual main constituent in tomatoes is called lycopene? And it's talk about like a like for a like, right? So if tomatoes are that red, boy, do they help with sunburns. It's an awesome favorite. And for anyone out there that may have some prostate issues, lycopene is one of the best ingredients for a healthy prostate and a heart as well. Pretty cool stuff.
Nice.
Pretty simple one on the list, but actually also research shows from Life Extension, lots of peer-reviewed evidence, vitamin E, having a good tocopherol, a mixed vitamin E from D-alpha and alpha A acids is just so important to maintaining that healthy lipid barrier. And it's even neuroprotective. And wow, you will sleep so good. But you know, my last favorite, what's a fruit that we all don't eat very often?
That we don't eat very often.
What do you guys think?
Okra. Oh no, fruit.
That's a fruit, technically.
For me, it's hard to get pomegranates.
Pomegranates.
Oh, yeah, it's hard too.
Yeah.
Right?
The
Yep.
Well, let me tell you, the Persian culture, the Iranians have known this little kept secret for thousands of years. And there's one company that owns a patent to it, and they patent a very special pomegranate extract called Pomelo. It actually comes from Mediterranean pomegranates. So most pomegranate extracts only get you egalic acids, which help lower blood pressure. This one, there is such a long list. Anyone can Google it. They own the patent to it, but wow, it's a hydrating fruit. It's also common in Chinese literature and medicine. Balances hormones. It'll make your skin freaking glow. Wow, loaded in.
Spell that one for us.
Love it. Yeah.
Pomelo.
Pomelo. P-O-M-E-L-L-A.
Pomelo.
Wow, that's awesome.
This is a good one.
Big nitric oxide booster. Oh, you'll feel like you take it before you go work out in the morning. It's just amazing.
So pomegranates, when we pick up a pomegranate at the store, are we getting pomegranates that are not the Mediterranean pomegranate?
It's a good question. You're not. And it's really hard to get what's extracted out of this special extract called punglicans. So what you're getting mostly from the store is, it's amazing to eat those fruits. Don't get me wrong, right? You get the vitamin C and all of the amazing constituents that come with whole food. But punglicans are shown to increase healthy bacteria in the salivary glands. It's also a prebiotic. It does everything under the sun, no pun intended. So.
Wow, that is awesome. I love it. So can you explain a little bit? Because I've also heard about sunscreens and stuff are actually affecting the ocean life. Like the Great Barrier Reef has been damaged because of swimmers and surfers putting on various kinds of sunscreen. So can you talk a little bit about when people should use some sort of sunscreen and what they should be using if they decide that they want to use some sort of sunscreen?
That's a great question. It's so important to protect Mother Earth. And one of my favorite things to do is be in the ocean. And I love to surf and I love to snorkel. And so there is one company that I really do trust. I also know there's a certified non-for-profit called Friends of the Sea, and they put their labels on certain sunscreens. I love a sunscreen company called Aloe Up, and their products are 40% aloe based. And they do have a protective from UVB radiation, but they use more of a zinc oxide than some of the other crap that's out there. And this stuff is made with like a tree nut oil, and it just absorbs in the skin, makes you feel so good. It has zero crap. And it's been shown to not mess up our oceans. And our coral reefs they need to be protected more now than ever, right? So
because they're filled with crap. And we allow that word on this show. I just want
Amen. Yeah, I love that. It's time that people stop thinking about me and start thinking about we, right? And when you, Mother Earth is not a separate thing from us. And so it's time that we pour back into that beautiful cup. So we have more of a symbiotic relationship. I love that you brought that up through that.
Oh,
so beautiful.
Wow.
Richard, I know you have darker skin than Bryant does, but yeah, you still sometimes burn, right? Can you explain that your skin color, can you explain how, does it affect whether you get a sunburn or not?
And
or
you got to do that in 90 seconds.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, sure. It doesn't necessarily determine whether or not you get a sunburn, but it determines how susceptible you are. So the degree of melanin that you have in your skin is determining whether your skin is darker or not. Even though we think of the color black or darker colors as being things that attract more sunlight, it actually attracts more heat as opposed to attracting more sunlight. So darker skin is actually more protective for us. Not everybody has that, but those that come from ancestry that's more south of the equator, it is a genetic thing, will tend to have that darker skin that is a little bit more protective.
Woo! Oh my God. Okay, we got to do this weekly now. Summer's here. We're dealing with teens over the summer, and it's going to be bleeding out to the parents and the grandparents. So I want to thank you both so much. Dominique?
Thank you. Thank you. Next up is Don Sanders with Ahuga.
Say, move for me, move for me, move for me, hey, hey. When you're done, I'll make you do it all again. Dance for me, dance for me, dance for me, oh, oh. I never seen anybody do the things you do before. They say, move for me, move for me, move for me, hey, hey. And when you're done, I'll make you do it all again. I said,
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday.
9 a.m.
Yeah, hi, good morning. This is Adele Luttrell, family therapist in Torrance. And this morning I'm going to talk about heroes. And I know when we think of heroes, maybe we think of famous people like Martin Luther King or Rosa Parks, or of course, this is a teen sports station. So maybe we think of, athletes like Jackie Robinson, Michael Jordan, Serena Williams. We also think of heroes in everyday stories, classic mythology and modern day stories. But today I want to talk about everyday heroes, because I think that everyday heroes don't get enough recognition. And, if you think about everyday heroes, for me, I think about people in my life that have gone above and beyond to help me. For example, doctors, maybe. I think of our law enforcement, and I think of firefighters, people that are in our community that go above and beyond to help us. And so I thought it might be fun to discuss a little bit later who our everyday heroes might be, and to encourage the teens out there to identify who their heroes are. Is it a parent? Is it a relative? Is it a teacher? Is it a coach? Maybe a friend? Maybe you haven't even thought about it, but I think if you think about it, you are going to be able to identify somebody in your life that's a hero. And Joseph Campbell, I like his definition of hero, very simple. He said a hero or a heroine is someone who has given his or her life to something bigger than oneself. And when I think of hero, I like to keep it real simple. I've probably read this somewhere, but I think of, a hero as being an ordinary person who does something extraordinary. And we can all work on being extraordinary. The definition of a hero is somebody maybe who does courageous acts, has a noble character, someone who fights for a cause like we're all doing, a person who has special achievements, abilities, or personal qualities. And I think those apply to athletes. Somebody that's regarded as a role model. And a hero has different characteristics and qualities. Some that I listed, and there's many more: having patience, having courage, having compassion, having a strong conviction for something, being able to persevere, being humble, having confidence, being helpful, self-sacrificing, and being honest. So I'd like to also encourage teens to identify a hero in their life, but also find their own inner hero, because each one of us is a hero. Whether you know it or not, you've had to embark on a journey with heroic efforts. And maybe you teens don't think that you're a hero to somebody, but you can start developing your inner hero. You can pick one quality of the hero and work on that one quality. Maybe you want to work on being honest, or maybe you want to work on having more courage. Pick something and start working on it and get in touch with your inner hero, because once you realize that you have these abilities within you to be heroic, then you can be a hero for somebody else. So I thought it would be kind of fun to go around and ask everybody here to maybe identify somebody that's been a hero in their life every day, an everyday life hero. and then maybe talk about if you've ever had to be heroic in your life. So I'd like to open up that discussion, and I see Dominique is ready to talk. And share.
Oh my gosh, this is a topic that's precious to my heart because our heroes in our life inspire us to do things that we might not otherwise do. And my first hero in my life was my grandmother. And the reason why I just view her as my hero, she's not with us anymore. But as a child, I knew that my grandmother had joined an organization and had become a world citizen, and that she was very proud of all the different nonprofits that she belonged to, where she had concern, like global concern. And she was just a very simple farmer's wife, essentially, in rural Pennsylvania. And yet she found the time to join organizations and literally become a world citizen. So she was heroic to me in that she encouraged me to study other cultures. And as a child, I fell in love with Russian fairy tales. So that's my first hero is my grandmother.
Oh, beautiful. That's so wonderful. I love that story. My grandmother was my first hero too.
Nice. And Don, what do you say?
Oh, I love the discussion here. I got on a little late, had some technical difficulty, but Adele, I love what you said about the about Campbell and about a hero being somebody who, on their own initiative, works for something larger than themselves. And so, I mean, just off the top of my head, in my Sangha, there's so many people who work for the welfare of others, and challenging all sorts of. If you compared it to a river, like raging waters of obstacles and things that they get through, and they keep going back to encourage people that they feel responsible for, and they've extended the hand of friendship to, and. They're like everyday heroes, unsung everyday heroes. If you saw them on the street, you wouldn't think, oh, there goes somebody special, maybe, but they're very special in that they give ceaselessly and tirelessly of themselves to encourage and help other people.
Nice. Beautiful. What's Rachel?
I love this. I have two people who immediately came to mind for very different reasons. Both within my family, and there's so many in our community. But I was raised by a mom who was constantly and continues to constantly just see a need and meet it. She was never about being on boards or going to galas. Her whole thing was that when we were kids, I grew up in Santa Barbara, she would pack us all in the car as a single mom and load up the car with food and drive down to the fig tree and feed everybody that was homeless. And I continue to see her throughout the year. She sees someone cold on the street. She literally gets out of the car, walks up and says, "What do you need?" And 5 minutes later, she's at Costco getting them a jacket and boots. So she's just someone who sees a need, and whether she is financially even in a place to do it or not, she's constantly looking out for others. And so I've just had so much respect that she's not there for acknowledgement. And then the last one I would say is my daughter, who just in light of the work that I do, struggled severely with her mental health, and seeing her conquer it and manage it every day. I have so much respect for her and all of the others in the world who are doing that. It's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Wow. We've got a couple of minutes left. Stephanie.
I guess just because everything that I've dealt with in the last year, my heroes are the 4 boys that went into rehab and kicked fentanyl, of Justin's friends. They're so my heroes. And then the 2 that spoke at his memorial that have remained sober and will do anything and go over anything to stay that way. So for me to see these kids tackle something that is, it's very, very hard. They're my heroes.
Nice.
Wonderful, sis. Yeah, it's to see a young person be able to be that strong and courageous, and that's heroic. It's very heroic to be able to conquer a mental illness, like you said, Rachel, and to overcome an addiction. Those have got to be the hardest things in the world to deal with. And that touches my heart.
And I would just add to that, we forget that it's an everyday challenge too. It's not a one and done. Anyone navigating a mental health or substance use journey, they have to consciously make that decision every single day they wake up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And same with addiction, right? Every single day. It doesn't go away.
It's a struggle, but they work on it every day. And my son was a hero to me.
Yeah.
He was a hero. I missed what happened. He was my hero for talking and telling me and being honest with me, and
Yeah. Absolutely. Nice. Absolutely. Yeah. Heroes don't always make it out alive, do they? But they're still heroes, nevertheless.
Yeah. That's why I want to give a quick shout to all the coaches out there, because to a lot of people like myself, it's the reason why I coached so many years, 28 years in this community, is because of the coaches / teachers, coaches that I have had. That was the first time that I experienced the importance of volunteers like that in the community. Back in those days when we weren't paid, you really did it for the love of. And I remember when I graduated and we all had to go in chapel and say what we wanted to do after graduation. And I'll never forget this. So many people to my left and right were doing these crazy, amazing things, inoculating AIDS babies in Africa. And I'm looking at them like, oh my God, like angels around me. And I was so hesitant. But when I went up and I said, I just wanted to coach. And it was a weird thing because I just didn't even think how can you compare that to inoculating babies that have AIDS in Africa? You know what I'm saying? But I realized through all of that of the empowerment that making me who I am today was all the great coaching that I had, including JP at Westmont, giving me a chance to play soccer, of a sport I've never played. And I ended up as the walk-on MVP. So people can make you much better than you thought you could possibly be. And that's the true thing of a hero, superhero in my mind, a mentor. And I go out and this is a little stretch, but all of our first responders to me are heroes in this community. So let's finish it up. Dominique, you want to close us out?
Gosh, so much loved, everyone. Our heroes don't know they're heroes until someone comes up and thanks them. So recognize that you, teens, you may be a hero for someone who's never talked to you about it. So shine your light and just do every day those wonderful things that make your life better and makes the world a better place.
Beautiful, Dee. Hey, we've got a lot of show. We got Rachel right after these messages. Stay here.
Well, now together we will stand, every boy, girl, woman, and a man.
And this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
every single Tuesday,
9 a.m.
Hi, I'm Rachel Steidel. I'm the Executive Director of Youth Well. So happy to be here today, sharing with teens and families. We are excited because a big focus of what Youth Well is about is early intervention and prevention around mental health and figuring out how we do more to support youth through the age of 25 and their families in getting support and resources in our community. And we are launching new parent support groups and youth support groups this summer. Some are specifically for parents who are wanting to learn new skills and be able to connect more with their teens, because this is a challenging age to navigate. And the other is for parents who have a young person who is struggling with a mental health challenge who could use more support. And then we're also doing one for teens who have been through recovery, been through treatment, and are now managing their recovery with mental health or substance use and wanting to continue to get more support from their peers. I'm just such a believer that we need people that we can reach out to, learn from, connect with, and not feel so isolated when we're struggling.
Nice. I have a quick question for you, Rachel, because I talk to Stephanie about this weekly because she's our community advocate. So are we at a place right now where we feel comfortable in saying that if a child needs services, they're going to get those services, or is there still a lag time and we got to figure that out? How are we doing there?
Not great. There's a huge lag time for several reasons. We have a big staffing shortage in our community, and the needs are only increasing. And so one of the things that's so important is that people ask for help early on, because sometimes it's not people needing therapeutic resources. Sometimes it's people needing to be connected into something meaningful. So we do things like, even on Youth Well, looking at all of the different volunteer opportunities that we have in the community. We just talked about being heroes, and such a great way for youth to feel plugged into something is to find something meaningful to them. So getting creative with what we see as a resource beyond just therapeutic, because it is a challenge.
Dominique.
I was just going to say, I really enjoyed when we were working with PAL, because getting the kids comfortable with our law enforcement so that they can go up to an officer and say, hey, this may be a situation where I need some help. That just creating that more of a comfortableness between our first responders and our kids is a really healthy thing for our communities. But the other thing about mental health is I try to educate kids, and this is why Rachel is saying, hey, come to these support groups. When you understand how the brain works, you realize, oh, my brain is wired for repeating trauma. So I go to a support group because I got people who can help me understand this is how my brain's working. And I can flip to going, thank you, body, for the information. Now I'm going to think about happy, and I don't have to keep replaying the trauma. So this is part of what we're trying to express to our teens, is that when you join the various kinds of support groups that Rachel is supporting with Youth Well, you have a quicker opportunity to get plugged into the system and get some help either for yourself or for a family member, and really understand mental health. And that it's not so much necessarily about willpower, but more of going, how does this brain work, especially as I'm growing as a teen with all the emotions and the hormones and the crazy stuff going on? How do I grapple with that, do well in school, do well in sports, and have great family relationships? So definitely join Youth Well's programs.
And I would just add to that too, how important it is that we're all at every single age learning new tools to manage our self-care, right? It used to be that when we talked about mental health, we associated it with mental illness. And the reality is we all have mental health. We all have to navigate it every day, but we don't always have the tools to do it.
Right.
Right. And we all,
Well,
go ahead.
My question is, when everybody keeps saying, we've got this here, we've got that, all they have to do is come. You guys should not. And I mean, I don't mean, I'm trying to be diplomatic. I feel that there's a place for you to be going to the schools. I feel like there's a place for the policemen to be going to the school if they want to connect. I don't think it should be left up to the child. I think the Reach Out program should be a dual effort in our community. They go out there. They get on the kids' level. And
Stephanie, that's a big part of what we're focused on, and I couldn't agree with you more. It's our community coming together and working collaboratively to be able to provide the resources and support and wraparound to youth and their families. Families shouldn't have to work this hard to get support.
Talk to them about, drugs or fentanyl. What they need to hear is a policeman or somebody that's been through an experience, and not scare them. We have our kid, like I've always said, our kids have enough on their plate right now. But anyhow, nonetheless, I think our education needs to be, like what the Youth Well program, which you're providing. I think that's really helpful. And I think a Reach Out program for us to go out there, or for anybody, the police to go out there and say, hey, we're here, and connect with them.
You're not alone. That's our favorite message. You're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. And for all we know, it's taking place right now. It's like you said, the whole connection with the kids, instead of go on their turf, just like you said, Stephanie's just what you're doing, Rachel, bring it on the kids' turf. Go to the kids.
Bring the resources to them.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it just seems like we're splitting it out. But listen, these are just things that it's good to talk about it. And we have the same talking points. We have the same wants and desires. We got to lower this 300% increase of fentanyl, okay? That's a big fight. You need to pay attention to it.
But Erica, I also think parents take responsibility. Parents need to take a course too. Parents are responsible just like everybody else. I think that if a kid's struggling, that parent should be learning about the drug, learning about how to get on the kid's level. So I think it's like collaborating, like in everything that everybody does in our community would be helpful.
That's why we're putting as much into support groups for parents, workshops for parents and youth, because I'm a mom of 3 kids, girls between 20 and 24, and you can't do this work alone. And parents and youth need to learn alongside each other. And I will say I see more and more parents stepping into the conversation, but the challenge is they're reaching out for support and not getting it because of the amount of wait lists. So it's a hard time for families right now.
Right.
Dominique.
Well, I was just going to say, maybe Adele could address the fact. It's so interesting that if one member of the family starts working with a therapist, how it affects the whole family. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, my goodness. It's so true. Just having the one person be in the therapy, being heard, listened to, validated, teaching them new tools and skills, it affects the whole family. That's part of family systems, right? So yeah, just getting one person in therapy. And I always tell the people that come to therapy, and I swear I believe this with all my heart, you are the healthiest one in your family because you showed up for help. You are not in denial. So just even a teenager going in for therapy, learning new skills, that will affect how their parents interact with them if they're learning a new skill. You can't not affect one another when you're part of a system. And it works the other way, unfortunately. You know, if there's untreated mental health stuff going on that's just tearing the family apart, that's horrible. Addiction, really, we've seen that in so many families, really tears a family apart when there's no help or support. But I like what you said, Rachel, that all of us have mental health. We all have mental health issues. None of us is perfectly mentally healthy all of the time. And there's different stages of life where you have worse mental health and sometimes you have better, but it is a constant struggle and working with yourself. None of us are immune to having something happen to us that can really affect our mental health. My sister's a good case right there. Something could happen that's tragic that really we are affected. So none of us are immune. And so I think just anybody getting any sort of support makes a big difference.
Well, and Adele, I talk to parents all the time that it's not always about parents doing things wrong, because so often as a parent, we take all of that on. It's that all of your kids have different needs, and the way we communicate with our kids, and sometimes it's just getting support on how you open up those conversations, adjust your parenting, and again, learning new tools to be able to meet those needs.
Absolutely. And parents do get blamed a lot for things, and it's not fair because, like you said, every kid comes in with something. I say kids come in with an agenda.
And this generation of teens is under more pressure than any previous generations. When you look at how much they have coming at them on a daily basis and how much is available to them through social media that they're navigating. I mean, the stuff that they're saying, I don't remember saying at the age of 14. I don't remember ever being in fear that someone was going to come and shoot people on my campus.
Oh my God, that's the
kids
worst.
are dealing with a lot of issues, not to mention the intense pressure to get into schools and how the level of what's expected of you just keeps going up.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, each generation, like I said, has their, I like to watch a lot of historical pieces. I wouldn't want to put it up there to go World War I or World War II. I will say that, because when the town gets wiped out of all their men and they're all going to war and only 20% return, or if you're a helicopter pilot during Vietnam and you had a 5% chance of making it through, it's not, am I going to die today? So you definitely have to navigate through it. You need to form a support team. You need to look inside. And I love the whole mindfulness training. We're trying to give as many tools on this program, which is team-based, but it's going to affect everybody. The parents can look at it. The grandparents can look at it. And I love when I get feedback from my friends who many are grandparents, and they'll give their little tips of wisdom, which they know their grandparent didn't talk to them like that, or their parent didn't talk to them like that, but it is the age of communication. So I think that's all important. Listen, we've got a little bit of show left. We got Don Sanders right after these messages.
Sounds of silence. People talking without speaking. the sounds of silence.
We are back, and this is Santa Barbara Teen Sports Radio Show. I am your host, Erica, the Queen of Teen. Please tune in
Every single Tuesday.
9 a.m.
Hi, for Teen Sports Radio. I'm Don Sanders, donsmassageohio.com, and I want to give you a hygge for your consideration, a Scandinavian, a Danish tradition, meaning something that gives you a comfy, cozy feeling or an expanded feeling like you are receiving a hug, only not an actual physical hug. And so yesterday, my daughter returned from a yoga teacher training class in Peru, and we were able to have lunch. My son had a day off, so we all ate lunch together. And that last segment, you guys were talking about breakthroughs, family breakthroughs, and I asked them for a little bit of guidance. I consider them my teachers now that they're all grown up. And I asked for some guidance about our family. And my daughter says, Dad, some of my earliest memories are you yelling. And my son's just kind of quiet. And I think he nodded his head, but she goes, I'm so proud of you that, here we are today having this conversation. Because if you hadn't have done work and if you hadn't have worked on yourself, we wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be here having this conversation with you now. And so that one kind of gets me, that one kind of chokes me up a little bit, but I just thought, boy, what gratitude I have for saying yes to this. Yesterday I was thinking sometimes right now I feel like the Jim Carrey movie, The Yes Man, where the guy sometimes goes up and down like a yo-yo at negative thoughts and he just decides to start saying yes to everything. So I said yes to lunch with my kids and a walk yesterday. And then I tried, a friend dropped off an electric bike, said, try this if you like it. I don't want very much for it. And I'm like, well, I'm not sure it has enough power. And my wife says, well, I bought it. And then yesterday she goes, come on. One of my girlfriends went up to Bakersfield and rescued this dog that was going to be euthanized. And her mother's taking care of it. We're going to go look at it. And I looked at it and then, So later today we're getting a dog, and I met the thing, and it seems sweet, and I'm just
the thing. His name is Thing.
I'm putting these thoughts in my mind, but what about my vegetable gardens that aren't fenced and don't have any protection, and what about this and what about that? So I'm just like, stop it. One of my favorite covers of "Take a Giant Step" was by Taj Mahal. Come with me, leave your yesterday behind, and take a giant step outside your mind. And so here I am against all odds with a united, happy family still, when, an earlier version of me could have blown that all out of the water. And so that's the micro level. Now on the macro level, I was listening to Dr. Greg Braden, who is a geologist who's also been involved with lots of spiritual work. He's been doing these prayer vigils around the world where people all pray for things at the same time. And so our whole civilization is based on about a 5,100 year period where the schools are content to teach this thing of we slowly develop to the high point of culture now, 5,100 years later. He says a growing body of evidence suggests we've had many, many of these 5,100 year cycles, and there's been a high point of knowledge that sometimes gets suppressed or lost or put aside for a while. And it's mind blowing. I mean, just like, the giant fit together 20-ton stones of the pyramids, they think now, instead of being dragged along on logs like we saw in school, that they were actually poured in a molten form into forms. And
wow.
We don't have the technology for that now, but maybe somebody did.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to throw these out for your consideration, the micro to the macro and back again.
Nice.
Love it.
We love it.
Sounds like a great day you have planned.
Well, getting to know my new family member.
We want a picture next week.
Yeah. Do you have a name?
Well, it already had a name. It's Rain.
Rain. How appropriate.
So apparently it's 5 siblings already got adopted, and maybe it had the initial growth spurt and wasn't cute enough, so it didn't get adopted, and it was going to be put down. So we have a new dog, Rain.
Oh, so beautiful.
Well, I thought you were going to name him Lucky.
Well, I guess it's probably malleable enough to where we could change the name, but so far nobody's. Yeah.
All right, Santa Barbara, we got to close out the show. Thank you. Eternity Ready Radio will be on the Global Conference June 10th, 11 o'clock. Check that out. Smile. Be happy. God bless. See you next week.
I'm unstoppable. I'm a Porsche with no brakes. I'm invincible. Yeah, I win every single